Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger and my friends. Today we continue the character preview series of Street Fighter 6 with, I guess, our final episode. The last character I have footage of, and that is the big lady herself, Marisa. So as with the other videos, and they'll all be linked in the video description if you want to check out the other videos of the other characters, I have had limited time with the character, so this is not a character guide. This is definitely a preview of Marisa and what she can do. In-depth stuff, we'll have to wait for launch, but don't worry, I'll have all sorts of in-depth stuff for you on the channel when that time comes. And now, as for Marisa herself, what's the appeal? Well, she's pretty big, y'all, and her animations play that out very well, and that's exactly her playstyle. Her playstyle is, I'm bigger and stronger than you. Tons of plus frames, so tons of advantage, tons of armor, all that kind of stuff. So that said, I guess the first thing to bring up is the fact that she can charge all of her grounded heavy moves. This is stuff like stand heavy kick, stand heavy punch, crouch heavy kick. Yes, her sweep can be charged. Even her command normals, like say back heavy punch or forward heavy kick, everything can be charged for plus frames. Only the sweep is not plus on block. Everything else is plus on block. No complex motions needed, just hold the button longer and then you'll get an advanced charged version of the move. So let's look at back heavy punch here. So when it's not fully charged, if it's block, you're -1 on block. That's disadvantage. Very slight disadvantage, but still disadvantage. Now if we go for the gusto here and hold the button, the move will take longer to perform, but now on block, we're +4, so that's a pretty significant advantage. Basically trading speed for raw power, and even some of the specials work this way. So Gladius, quarter circle forward punch, the regular version here, -5 on block, which is perfectly fine with that spacing and that pushback. But if we were to hold the button down now, longer startup, bigger animation as you can see, and now we're +4 on block. It can also change move properties, so crouch heavy punch is actually a very serviceable anti-air. Very serviceable anti-air. And if you anti-air with the charged version specifically, it then grants the juggle property to the next move you're going to do. So you can actually get a little bit of an air combo after your anti-air. So that's another benefit of the charge. And keeping with the advantage frames on block, some moves don't even need charge, like her Superman punch. It's just a plus on block special. And ideally, no, you want it to hit, right? But if you block, you have the advantage. And it's actually even slightly more advantage if they crouch block it. I did think it was an overhead at first. It's not an overhead. But yeah, if they crouch block, you're +3 instead of +2. Now, if you watched any amount of the other preview videos I've done with the other characters, I probably mentioned more than a few times how rare plus and advantage frames are on block in Street Fighter 6. That is not the case for Marisa. She has more advantage on block frames than like half the cast combined. She easily and far away has the most advantage on block frames of the entire cast. So if you're the kind of person where you always want it to be your turn, it's my turn, you block, well, still my turn, you block, it's still my turn, Marisa is absolutely that character. Not to mention, pretty much every charge plus on block move deals wild drive gauge damage. So not only do you keep the advantage on block, it's still your turn, you are draining the enemy's resources and potentially forcing them into the burnout state. Now next, let's talk about Marisa's guard stance. So as a stance, it does have moves that are part of it. She has a punch out of it, this is a true overhead. She has a kick out of it, which is a low. So immediately out of the gate, you have high-low mix-up while you're in stance. And just to bring it up, the overhead hits in 15 frames, the low hits in 16 frames, so no, you're not gonna fuzzy block it or whatever nonsense. The overhead has a follow-up punch as well. The follow-up is not safe on block. The base overhead is -3, that's fine, but only do the follow-up if you believe in it. And of course, which is perhaps the main event, we have the command grab out of the stance, where she just basically breaks open the back of your skull in a very visually impressive manner. And it does a very respectable 2500 damage. And on the grand scale of Street Fighter 6 command grabs, since it does start from the stance first, you have to stance up first before you can grab, but still you can get it done in 13 frames, which is definitely unreactable, unseeable. Not quite the speed of Zangief or Lily, but absolutely fast enough to use it raw and catch people sleeping all the time. So overhead, low, throw, what a bargain! You get all the mix-up in the world, what else? Well, there's also the guard part of the guard stance, where if you hit her while she's doing it, she's not going to take too kindly to it and poke you right back with a bit of a headbutt. FYI, this headbutt is automatic. This will automatically go off if you hit her at all. After the headbutt goes off, you can choose to hold the button and remain in guard stance, or let go and just go back to your regular stance. What's really fun is the headbutt advances her forward to make sure she's beside you, and then it's +1 on hit. So if you get headbutted, you're in a little bit of a strike throw mix-up range. So the headbutt itself doesn't do a lot, but the threat of what position you're in after the fact is very, very dangerous. Now to note, the headbutt from the guard stance is automatic. You have to do it, even in situations where you wouldn't want to, like say against blocking a fireball or something. So there's really no benefit against fireballs. Maybe against Dalsum, maybe you can headbutt his limbs as they return, but against fireballs, no real use. So this seems all like a really sweet deal. What's the downside? Well, twofold. One, it loses the lows. It blocks mids and highs, basically everything upper body up, but any kind of low, poke, sweep, whatever, it automatically loses them, so it can't save you there. So if people expect you to do it, they're just going to start poking your feet, and also it offers 0 protection against throws as well, so people can freely grab you out of it. However, we do have the EX version of the move if you're willing to spend meter. The EX version is full body armor. It will catch all lows, so no more pokes. Also bonus, it starts up in frame 1. So the regular version starts up on frame 3. So this one, you can use it basically as a wake up. You'll catch everything on the first possible frame. Although, you're still going to get thrown. That won't save you there. Now, on the subject of armor breaks, because drive impact, especially in the early days, is going to be pretty hated, I think. Marisa is more equipped than anyone to deal with it because she has many moves that just simply destroy the armor on drive impact. As you can see here, her charged quarter circle forward punch, this is the Gladius. The charge version just straight up destroys all versions of armor like they weren't even there. So that's one great way to do it. Also, her Superman punch. So the regular version, not so much. But if you're willing to spend 1 bar, the EX version does break armor. And even if it's blocked, like, you did it, wrong prediction, it's still plus on block. That's great, right? That's fine. And it combo starter in the corner. So some of these are slower, like the regular Gladius, which is very fast, doesn't break armor. So you're going to have to commit to these slower moves. But they definitely work. Also, the EX Sparta kick also breaks armor, although I don't have that captured, I'm sorry. So yeah, if you're here to bust out your drive impacts or otherwise armored nonsense, Marisa does not have to deal with it. Which is good, because as we talked about earlier, all these charged punches and all that are great for, guard gauge damage, plus on block, all that kind of stuff, they're actually very susceptible to getting drive impacted. Stuff like charge heavy punch, charge heavy kick, all that, they're not special cancelable. So if you get caught with a drive impact while you're trying to do these moves, you will get blown up. You will lose, guaranteed. So if the opponent is seeing you do this kind of stuff over and over and over, they are going to beat you. So you need to do these moves like EX Superman Punch, Gladius, all that kind of stuff to beat their drive impacts, because they will want to do it to stop all of your charged heavy moves. Now on the armor front, Marisa herself actually has a lot of armor and is in her basic special moves. So we showcased Gladius earlier in the video here. You can do it regular, or you can hold the button to get the big fancier version that also breaks armor. And look at the frames here. Do you see those purple frames interspersed with all the other colors? Those are armor frames. So the regular Gladius has 6 frames of armor. The charged version has 22 frames of armor. Remember that Superman punch? It is armored as well. It doesn't have a lot of frames of armor, 5 frames, but it's still there. Say you do the EX version, for burning the bar you get more overall armor frames, and also the armor frames start earlier. And also much the same for Gladius, if you do the EX version, better armor, earlier armor. Combine this with the guard stance we talked about earlier, well, Marisa is quite the tank, to say the least. And the last major thing to talk about that I find interesting is the level 1 super. No, not the level 2, not the level 3, they're great. They do a lot of damage, extend your combos, all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about the humble level 1. So it's a big F-off punch, basically, right? And you can hold it and get more damage. And also, frame 1 invincible, and the rest of the frames, see those purple frames as we talked about, those are armored frames. So it's another defensive mechanic for you. But there's actually a third version of the punch. The regular, the charged, and one that comes only when you armor through a move. So as you can see here, this is the regular version armoring through the move. But if we do the charged version, we get this instead. And I should say charge is a misnomer. All you have to do is hold the button as you're getting hit. That's it. And then we get this very interesting cinematic. Doesn't do as much damage as the full charge version, but does more than the regular version. Healthy about 2600 damage. And it also causes a bit of a screen stop. This screen stop I find very interesting because the regular version, as the animation plays out, they'll finish whatever animation they're doing before you clock them in the face, right? If you hold the button during the counter, or rather the armor frames, the screen stop prevents them from finishing up whatever animation they're doing. You just hit them. Maybe in edge case scenarios, you might be able to get hits with that you could not otherwise with the uncharged, unheld version, which I just think is actually really neat and interesting. Plus the animation looks sick and because you're just really big and smashing them in the face. I just think it's cool. And that's about it for Marisa. Unfortunately, I had a little bit less time with her as I did with the others. Basically, I got a little more time with Lily, and then I paid for it with a little bit less time with Marisa. But I think she's really, really cool. I do think of the characters I tried, she's the most simplistic, and I do not mean that in a bad way. That's a bonus, trust me. I think she'll be very easy for people to pick up and play. Very easy game plan, very easy combos, things like Sparta Kick wall splats anywhere on the screen, EX Superman Punch also crumples on the screen, gives guaranteed corner combos. All her stuff just flows very easily together. Lots of target combos that give very easy hit confirms. And I'm talking just literally, it's like light, light, medium, medium, heavy, heavy. And they all flow into the specials very easily. One of her specials can give a meterless launcher as well, if the button that precedes it is heavy enough. Everything is tailor-made for just an easy to understand experience. If I were to recommend a single beginner character for Street Fighter, other than Ryu, because Ryu's always the guy, right? But I would recommend Marisa. She's just eminently easy to understand and use. And that's about it for my footage at Capcom. This is the last video I got to give you. So if you want to check all the other character previews in the main preview, it'll be linked for you in the video description. Check out those other videos. They're pretty good in my opinion. Hope you enjoyed this series and look forward to the launch of Street Fighter 6, where I'll have all sorts of guides, combos, info, and everything for you. And other than all that, well, I guess we're at the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Street Fighter.
This is the love making.